Good afternoon to Madam Alia and all my fellow friends. I'm Chang Fung
And Fazroul Faniel.
and today our topic for our public speaking is the dark side of tourism. So when we talk about tourism, we often relate it to the benefits or the good thing about tourism. There's a few topics that we all pretty common include what are the benefits of tourism to our country and why should we travel. But today we're gonna take another twist and we're gonna look at the bad thing or the unseen dark side of tourism in general. So, in each destination in the world, they receive different number of tourists each year. Some locations, some locations such as the Paris or even London receive record-breaking number of tourists each year. But when a small city or a small town receive a sudden increase number of tourists, this is where over-tourism issue occurs. Over-tourism is when a group of tourists suddenly visit a location that causes the infrastructure or the public transport in that location to have negative impact overall. This means the resident in that area will have trouble for their daily life since they probably need to compete with the tourists to even use the basic structure or the basic public transport in that area. Over-tourism will also forces the local government to change the culture in that area for the aims for tourism. Let's take a look at example of Angkor Wat located in Cambodia. So Angkor Wat is a 12th century Hindu temple that just received 2.6 million tourists in 2018. On paper, it sounds like a good thing, but in reality, due to this overwhelming amount of tourists swarming into the Angkor Wat, it causes the Angkor Wat to receive some damage and overall damaging the ancient ruins of Angkor Wat. This makes the Cambodia government to put effort in limiting the number of tourists that can enter Angkor Wat at the same time. Now I'm gonna pass my next point to Fazroul.
Thank you, Chang. Let's now take a deeper look at how tourism affects the environment. Every year, millions of people travel across the globe by cruise ships, airplanes, and cars. It sounds exciting, am I right? But it comes at a serious cost. Air travel contributes significantly to the global carbon emissions. Cruise ships, on the other hand, can carry thousands of passengers, but they burn heavy fuel oil that's extremely polluting. And when thousands of tourists gather in one place, they could generate an enormous amounts of waste, such as plastic bottles, packaging, and food waste. Popular destinations like beaches and national parks are the ones to suffer the most. For example, my bay in Thailand had to be closed by the government for several years. You may wonder why. Because the coral reefs were destroyed by both anchors and sunscreen pollutions, and the beach itself was overwhelmed with trash. The damage was so bad that the government had no choice but to shut it down for several years just so the nature could recover itself. And it's not just the oceans and the landscape. In tropical tourist spots like Bali, a five-star hotels use tons of water daily to maintain swimming pools and their green lawn. Meanwhile, local residents face water shortages. Clean water, which should be a basic need, becomes a luxury just so tourists can enjoy a comfortable stay. These are just a few examples of how tourism, when poorly managed, turns paradise into a polluted and fragile place. Now I may pass the mic to Chang.
Thank you, Fadro. And now my next point is dark tourism. So dark tourism is a tourism that involve in people visiting sites that have dark history, for example, death, tragedy, or suffering. So there's a few famous location that is being marked as a dark tourist. For example, Auschwitz, located in Poland, where the World War II Holocaust took place. Hiroshima, Japan, where the atomic bomb in World War II detonated. And Pompeii, Italy, where the volcanic eruption that ended the whole civilization. And fun fact about Pompeii, you can actually see or witness the petrified victims located in the museum of the Pompeii. And so why dark tourism exists? Main aim for dark tourism is to for education purpose. So people visit those sites to get clear understanding or clear knowledge of what actually happened in that area. And so this raises a concern for the public. Like, does dark tourism actually respect the soul of those that suffer in that incident? Does this actually respect those that have died? Does this actually respect the family that affected by this incident? For example, in Hiroshima, where people often visit that site and actually did not respect the local by just simply asking what happened during that time. And so this, although this industry still stays strong, it does raise a concern in the public and remain a pretty controversial topic. Now I'm gonna pass the mic back to Fazroul.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the last point, which is from the economic side. Tourism is often promoted as a way to boost local economies. It creates jobs, attract investment, and increase spending in local areas. That is true, but only to a certain extent. The reality, a large portion of the money tourists spend doesn't stay in the local community. It goes to international airlines, global hotel chains, and large tour companies. This is known as economic leakage, where most of the profit leaks out of the country or region. Locals are often left with low-paying seasonal jobs like cleaning hotel rooms, driving taxis, or selling souvenirs. These jobs usually don't offer long-term security or chances to grow. Meanwhile, the big profits go to businesses based in other countries. Ano- Another economic problem is gentrification. You may ask, what is gentrification? So, in popular tourist cities, landlords often convert homes into short term rentals like Airbnb to earn more money. As a result, property prices and rents go up, making it harder for local residents to afford housing. They are pushed out of their own neighborhoods to make room for short term visitors. Tourism, which is supposed to be beneficial for the communities, ends up pricing the communities out. Now we've come to the end of this public speaking. Now I'm going to talk about the conclusion. In conclusion, tourism is automatically a good thing. Yes, it can bring jobs and opportunities, but it can also bring pollution, inequality, and exploitation. What we need is responsible tourism, travel that respects both the environment and the local people. Because at the end of the day, tourism should not be about taking everything and giving nothing back. It should be about experiencing the world in a way that leaves it better than when we found it. Thank you, that's all from us.